The Champions Trophy has often been dubbed as the mini World Cup. Top 8 teams qualify for that and then they play out a string of knockout games in groups or maybe in the semifinals, which ensure that who is the best team amongst the 8. Now, this concept was formalized in 1998, and since then, the Champions Trophy has often fallen under the shadow of the Cricket World Cup or under the onslaught of the T20 leagues all over the globe. It was dubbed as the poor cousin of the ODIs. Now in 2025, with the format relevancy at stake, ODIs, remember, are struggling for relevancy at this point in time. They now will have a renewed vigor at this point in time. Many teams in the past, now in this edition, Sri Lanka and West Indies have not qualified for the ICC Champions Trophy. Imagine the West Indies, the 2004 champions, they are not there. Sri Lanka, joint winners in 2002, are not there. That's why this competition, based on the rankings, the cutoff rankings that are there, is not an easy one at all. Now, what has been India's performance in the Champions Trophy? Because they have been one of the few teams who's been there in every edition of the Champions Trophy, right from 1998 onwards. And in 1998, India's first game was against Australia, and Sachin Tendulkar, who was notorious for hurting Australia in so many ways in the 90s, continued his great form. Desert Storm was not enough. Dhaka Blitz was also needed, and Tendulkar's magnificent 140 knocked Australia out of the ICC knockout trophy in that particular event in Dhaka. But then in the semi-final, India were facing the West Indies, and unfortunately, the West Indies put on a great show with Mervyn Dillon taking 3 wickets, and you saw that Shivnarayan Chandrapal guided them over the line. India lost the semi-final, and that is why they could not go into the final. You all know in 1998 it was West Indies versus South Africa in the final, with South Africa winning their first and only ICC event until date. At the start of the new millennium in the 21st century, the Indian team came out of the shadows of the match-fixing scandal. There was young blood and there was old combining to ensure that India had a good team. Yuvraj Singh came to the party. There was Saurav Ganguly, they were in good form. Rahul Dravid in good form. There was Mohammad Kaif. All of the others who were there at this point in time in the fringes. Sachin Tendulkar also. Everybody was in top form, and India started their campaign on the ultimate high by beating Australia and South Africa. Now in the final, they encountered New Zealand, and India had a great start, but they could not sustain it towards the death overs. New Zealand, backed by Chris Cairns, on just one leg, he managed to ensure that he guided New Zealand over the line. And that is how, in the 21st century, in Nairobi, New Zealand had pulled off one of the best victories in their cricketing history. And that is why it was the first among their 2 ICC titles that they would have. 21 years later, they would once again beat India to be there in the ICC World Test Championship final. But 2000 would be remembered for Chris Cairns. 2002, the only instance where you saw joint winners in the ICC Champions Trophy. And why was that? It was because of the rigidity of the ICC. Both the final and the reserve day between India and Sri Lanka at the Premadasa was washed out because of rain, and Sri Lanka and India were declared joint winners. It only exposed the fallacy of the ICC. Had it resumed from that particular point in time, like what happens today, who knows, we could have had a winner. It could have been Sri Lanka, it could have been India, but no. You had to start from scratch after the final was abandoned. Reserve day, start from scratch, knowing very well in the evening there would be rain. So you had joint winners in the ICC Champions Trophy in 2002. But what followed afterwards was 7 years of pain. You could say even 11 years of pain, because in the 2004 ICC Champions Trophy, which was held in England, they were paired with Pakistan and Kenya in the group stages. India beat Kenya comfortably, but lost to Pakistan in the knockout match that was there. So that is why India did not have a good run and continued their poor record against Pakistan for a certain period of time. In 2004, that was the problem. In 2006, they were paired with the West Indies, and West Indies beat them, and in Mohali, they had lost to Australia. Having started off the tournament so brilliantly against England in Jaipur, India fell short against the West Indies and against Australia. Damien Martin's brilliant 70 in Mohali ensured India were eliminated. In 2009, India were paired with Australia, Pakistan and West Indies India won against West Indies, but their game against Australia was washed out and they lost to Pakistan. So that is why India were eliminated from the Champions Trophy. So 3 consecutive first round exits for them in the Champions Trophy. But that pain was eliminated in 2013 when they managed to win the ICC Champions Trophy without even losing a single game. It was dominance all around from Ravindra Jadeja, Shikhar Dhawan and MS Dhoni completed the white ball set. 7 T20 World Cup, 11 World Cup, 13 Champions Trophy. The only captain to achieve it. So India became 2-time winners, although the first win was a joint win. This was the first time they had won the Champions Trophy in an undisputed manner. 2017, they were once again on top. They had put on a clinical display against all the opponents, except in the league game against Sri Lanka when they couldn't defend 320. But then in the final, they were undone by Pakistan's mercurial brilliance. 338 with Jasprit Bumrah bowling a no ball to Fakhar Zaman. Fakhar Zaman going on to hit 100 and Mohammad Amir's decimating 3 wickets at the top. Shikhar Dhawan, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli all falling and with Shadab Khan and Hassan Ali also chipping in. Pakistan also completed the white ball Grand Slam, meaning World Cup, T20 World Cup, Champions Trophy. So India, if you look at their record in the Champions Trophy, 3 first round exits. You then had 2 finalists, you may say 2 final appearances, 2 wins and 1 semi-final appearance. Do you think in 2025 India can win the Champions Trophy for the 3rd time, or do you think a surprise is waiting for them? You can write to us in the comments below. Thank you so much folks for joining us for this video. Subscribe to Sports Today for all the latest news and analysis.